before the 60s, when the old Cockteys Mill used to be open, which used to be the main employer in Lockheed at that time. People lived in what they call like mill workers' houses. We used to have some little cottages just across the way from Burnside. They no longer exist. And then, I mean, they were still using like tin baths in front of the fire in those days. Thank God we've actually moved on from that. When these were first built, these were like luxury flats. Everybody wanted to get in there. And they were really, really nice places, and people treated them like a home. They were glad to have all the modern facilities at that time, i.e. a bath when they wanted, hot and cold running water. You know, it was absolutely fantastic. And a lot of the people, unfortunately, that were here, that moved in the 60s, have either left or they're no longer with us.
Dundee City Council has suffered a declining population over a number of years, which has led to a mismatch of the type of housing that's provided and the amount of housing that's provided in relation to the housing that is needed for people who want to live in Dundee now and going forward. To that end, Dundee City Council has had for a number of years now a demolition programme that has been about taking out the less popular housing stock for which there is a lack of demand, and trying to replace that with better quality, low density housing, particularly back and front door family housing.
The reason for changing the decision to demolish these multis is basically that we need the houses. People need the houses. We have a very long waiting list in Dundee. We have thousands on the waiting list for council housing, and we have about 900 people who have homeless priority on the waiting list waiting for a house. We need these buildings, we need these multis, and there isn't really any good reason for knocking them down. If we manage them better, and we can, then they will be popular and attractive houses once again. I asked for the multi-storey improvement team to be set up. As convener of housing, I'm responsible for ensuring that the housing in the city is up to standard. We employ, as politicians, we employ the staff, we employ the director of housing and our team, and we have to try and make sure that the tenants of the city are happy with their houses. And it was quite clear that there were a number of problems with the multi-storey houses in Lockheed and also in other parts of the city which we needed to tackle. And so I asked for the multi-storey service improvement team to be set up, and I sit on the service improvement team as a way of monitoring what's happening.
So last June in 2010 we decided that a way to tackle this would be to get tenants on board through a multi-storey service improvement team, to get tenants, relevant officers from the West District Office, from Housing Investment Unit, from the Tenant Participation Unit, and all other relevant stakeholders involved in a service improvement team that would look at what all the issues were, what people's level of satisfaction with the blocks is and how they enjoy living there, and look at areas that required to be improved and bettered, and then to go about putting strategies in place to address those issues.
We had a notification put through our door that there was going to be an open day in the car park, and they explained to us what they were trying to achieve, and if we would like to take part in this focus committee, which I thought was a very good idea, where people could voice their opinions and put forward their points of view. I think if you can actually break down what the problems are and try to rectify them in the future, then we would have a better quality of life.
I came into the group, when would it have been? It would have been around about the beginning of December. met up with the tenant participation officer, had a chat with her, and very, very quickly I found, within a week, that I was involved with the group. The team was actually set up to work alongside Dundee City Council in undertaking these improvements, and also to work with tenants and to inform tenants of the progress moving forward. Now, a report has actually to be carried out by the multi-storey service improvement team, and in there will be the recommendations that encompasses everything in order to move this process forward, to improve conditions within these blocks and to improve conditions for tenants as well.
Just in case we see any. Yeah, this is the chute. This is the cover. Now, any wee kid could go down there, but look at this. I'll just move out of the way. Wouldn't have a great time climbing in there and all the way down to the ground floor. Minor things, landings, chute rooms with wiring similar to that. And the cables and the graffiti. And that's since November 2009. We don't rush to paint them. That one next to mine is had its first coat, and that was way before Christmas. But there's quite a few doors still to be painted.
If these are to be good quality houses that people want to live in for the next 15 plus years, then we were aware that the physical quality is an important aspect, yes, but equally important are the social and housing management activities that go alongside that to make sure that the management difficulties that tenants are telling us they're facing in these blocks just now are addressed properly, and that we deal with issues such as antisocial behaviour in the blocks, the amenity of the blocks both internally and externally, the management of the blocks, the role of a caretaker in the blocks, to ensure that these blocks have the services necessary to make them good places for people to live.
You don't get Greg involved in something.
Working with the tenant participation officer, the tenants focus group and myself organised 3 study visits to Glasgow, where we visited a housing association, Edinburgh, where we visited 2 multi-storey sites run by Edinburgh Council, and the 3rd visit was to Aberdeen, and again to Aberdeen Council's multi-storey stock. The 3 study visits to Edinburgh, Glasgow and Aberdeen were very well attended by the tenants focus group. We've come back from these visits with very useful information. I wouldn't discount at all that there are certain aspects of innovation and good practice that we've picked up from these other landlords that we can certainly pursue with good results.
I think if there was better management in place from Dundee City Council Housing Department, I do not think that we would have as much problems with antisocial behaviour. It wasn't necessarily coming from antisocial behaviour of the tenants, it was actually the buildings and how the buildings were being managed. There does seem to be the case that morale is a problem with tenants, and at the end of the day our team is set up to deliver results. However, at the end of the day, Dundee City Council have to engage with us completely, and at the moment, as I said before, I do not believe that's actually the case.
Following on from our study visits to other local authorities, it was loud and clear from the tenants that security was high on their list of improvements. From that, we will now have security in all multis with cameras in lifts, CCTV. We're also increased patrols by the local community wardens. Police are now going to be patrolling the area on a more regular basis. That, coupled with what the antisocial behaviour team is doing, and through our meetings with our local action teams, we are now hopefully encouraging people and restoring confidence and bringing about a better quality of life within the multi-storey developments.
The help of your facilitator is basically just write up briefly what you think.
Well, quite positive. Sorry, Nancy. Although decisions have been deferred which could have been taken today. But at least it's a step in the right direction. Progress. It's always slow, but best to be on a sure footing.
Well, I think it was good today. I think we got through a lot, but I like them because I live in a multi-storey block. It's an environment I live in. Not saying I'm always happy with it, and I'd like to change some of it, and that's the reason I come here, for to see what can be done to help people that live in multi-storey blocks. Because not everybody likes multi-storey blocks. Not everybody. Some people do, but no, I don't think they're the nicest places to live.
Stage, you know, from it's beginning for me in December. Obviously, we have to come back together, deciding that, you know, shortly, whether it be 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now. But I'm looking forward to actually seeing this prioritised, seeing the cost of it, and actually getting the implementation of it as well.
A lot of information given, and still a lot of decisions to be made, a lot of time consuming, but I think hopefully the more we get into it, the more better we'll get through it. So, but yeah, I've got a lot of things to take away with me, a lot of things to think about and put my ideas across. So hopefully the work streams will benefit us all and the people who live in the multis.
Initially, when we set up the estate walkabouts, there were teething problems, getting groups together, ensuring that the work was on time. But as this is progressing, we're beginning to iron out these problems, and this has been vastly improved through having a single dedicated housing officer.
In the Dundee multis, we're getting a grant from British Gas and we're putting some money in ourselves. What we're going to do is we're going to cover the 4 Dundee multis with insulation, and we're going to install a new heating system which will be a district heating system. There will be one boiler house, it will be a big gas boiler, and it will feed hot water and heat to all of the 4 multis, which means that the tenants will have very cheap heating, and they'll still have to pay for it, you know, but the heating will be much cheaper than they're paying at the moment. They'll be warmer, the buildings will be more efficient, and I hope that everybody will be happy, and these particular buildings will be attractive multis which will last for many years into the future. We can make decisions here in this chamber, but unless we are listening to the tenants, we'll get it wrong. And so by talking to the tenants and by discussing things in detail with them, and by also explaining to them the difficulties that we face, we can come to an agreement about the way forward, the best way forward. We can get it right.
Where we are, these new gadgets that these are going to be doing and everything, I mean, it's not going to improve them all then.
It is a partnership. We need to work at this together, but we genuinely want to make things better. Yeah.
So what we're proposing today is to set up a multis group. A multis group for all the multis in the area. That would be Petalkin, Lansdowne, it would be Bunsted, Ancrum, Adamson and Elders and Dundee. So when they're looking at doing anything, it's all the blocks coming together and they're all working together to ensure that what they're doing is going to meet the requirements and the aspirations of the tenants. So we can ask if you're in agreement with that.
Sometimes you don't actually take a think back and consider the hard work that's been put into this process. So obviously with regards to where we are now, new people coming on board, new tenants coming on board, there's also been new management within the housing department. The communication has actually come forward. Responsibility from management of the housing department itself has also come forward. However, with those two aspects of communication and with regards to responsibility, there does remain a lot of work ahead. For the future itself, I would look at the fact that we're actually about to move from being a focus group to being a registered tenant organisation. That is something that is actually very exciting for the future.
To date, I would say there's been a lot of work done with the cooperation of the tenants who have, as I say, given a tremendous amount of their time and effort. All thanks to Kevin and Mary for their long sufferance and forbearance and the work that they've done to date to get us where we are. And I think now we are at a position where it's about evaluating the benefits from the initial work that we've started to do, for making sure that we make significant progress over the next couple of months in terms of getting the new systems for CCTV and security in place, and re-evaluating those in 3 to 6 months' time to see how much that has improved people's feeling of safety and security within the blocks, which I think is a paramount concern for everybody living there. And hopefully what we'll be able to do in conjunction with the tenants is prove that over time the work that we've done in this multidisciplinary approach is starting to bear fruit, and that the Maltese are proving a more popular place to live.